Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. A very good evening and warm welcome to everyone on today's webinar on Be a Warrior, Not a Warrior, organized by IT Wings of Brahma Kumaris. So before we start this session, just take a few minutes, pause from all the other activities, just sit back, relax yourself, and be in this moment physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Just come in this moment and lock your mind for the next 90 minutes to observe the resonance that we'll be hearing from today's webinar. So just be and relax. So for those who have joined today's session for the first time, let me briefly introduce about Brahma Kumaris. Brahma Kumaris is an international organization dedicated to make a better world for everyone through the applied spirituality and meditation lifestyle. And Brahma Kumaris has 20 different wings who is doing the spiritual service in different sectors like medical wing, educational wing, women wing, and so on. So this is IT wing who is providing the spiritual service in many MNCs, in many different organizations, and over 60,000 IT professionals has been benefited from this spiritual service. So in today's session, without taking much time of yours, I would like to introduce Sister Shreya, who is an eminent speaker and a spiritual leader who is associated with Brahma Kumaris for over 11 years. And she has telecasted many talk shows in Peace of Mind spiritual channel and also forecasted many seminars, webinars, and workshops across India. So I would like to request Sister Shreya to proceed with today's session. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. A very warm welcome to everyone who has joined us. Am I audible?
Yes, sister.
Yes, sister.
Okay. So once again, a very warm welcome to everyone who has joined. And before we begin this session, let's just take a moment of silence. So wherever you're sitting, on whichever device you're watching, just for a few moments, detach yourself from everything and come into the awareness of this moment. In this moment, reflect and ask yourself, do I worry a lot? Am I responsible and at the same time carefree? Or I'm always experiencing worry and fear? Take a moment and reflect deeply. What is that I worry about? Is it my job, my children, my health? And is worry making anything better? Or am I constantly suffering? In these unprecedented times, is it possible to live with complete joy, happiness, and complete stability? So in next 1 hour, we shall reflect on ourselves and transform from being a warrior to a warrior. Om Shanti. So it's a very interesting topic today. And, it's about not to worry, but be a warrior. And we all have to check ourselves. Do we constantly worry? Because, in today's scenario, it's kind of become very natural and normal that all of us, think it's natural to worry about a family, it's natural to worry about a job. And I feel that worry is that one feeling which makes you suffer a lot. If you're worrying all the time about something, you're very unhappy, you're in a lot of pain, and you can't enjoy anything. And if you're not happy, then I don't think you can spread happiness around people. So somebody who's all the time worrying, it's more like in a lot of fear. Worry can be very easily converted into something like fear. And if I'm in fear all the time, then that's what I'm radiating around. And also because everybody around us is worrying, so we sometimes think, okay, maybe it is very natural, maybe it's very normal. Some people will also say, no, 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 I have inherited it from my parents. Everybody in my family worries, and so I also tend to worry. Some people say it's genetic, but I don't think it is true. I think it's a mental habit that we have learned, and we can unlearn it. But firstly, we have to understand what exactly is worry. And to begin with, let's just say it is not normal. It's creating a lot of suffering. And we don't want to suffer in life. We want to live our life with comfort, with joy, with happiness, and we want to spread that in the world. Worry is nothing. Basically, it's something that you create a scene about future. It's more like our imagination, a very colorful imagination. And in most cases, we tend to imagine the worst. And when we imagine the worst, we see it in the mind. All this is happening in the mind. Let's just take a scene that a child is late from school or from tuition, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the child is late. And I start thinking here, and what are the kind of thoughts? Normally the thoughts won't be that he'll just come back. Sometimes I just imagine the worst. I see some catastrophe happening. So in my head, I'm thinking, where is he? Why hasn't he come back? When will he come back? And every thought that I'm creating, it's a lot of worry, it's a lot of pain. And I keep thinking. And then I sometimes imagine the worst. And we all know what is the worst that we can imagine. We imagine that, oh, he must have met with an accident, or the worst. I mean, you can't even say those things. You imagine that he might be kidnapped, this, that. And sometimes we need to reflect back and ask, so many times some or the other person is late at our home, but how many times do they meet with an accident? How many times? Every now and then somebody comes late. Why is my mind thinking about the worst? And some of the research has proved that 93% of what we create in our mind, our imagination, never comes true. Never. So within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, the person we were worrying about, the one who hasn't come home, just enters. And then because we have been creating this negative energy, we tend to burst. And we'll be like, where were you? I was so worried about you. And normally in response, they'll tell us, why do you constantly worry about me? And then we say, I worry about you because I love you. It's very ironical that we think we are worrying because we love somebody. Now, even the word love is so beautiful. And love means radiating the right energy to the person. But when I'm worrying about them, I am creating fear. So I am not radiating energy which is going to empower them. The people I love with, I have so much love for them. But because I am worrying about them or I'm creating fear, I'm sending negative energy to them. And even if they are in a difficult situation, their capacity will also reduce because they're connected with me. So they can feel my vibration. And my vibration, instead of empowering with them, will disempower them. And in our heads, we'll be thinking, but what if I'm thinking it's true? What if they have really met with an accident? Should I just sit like that? Should I not do anything about it? There is a situation. Am I not responsible for my child? And that's where we need to understand that when we are saying not to worry, it does not mean we don't love our children and we shouldn't do anything about it. We have to. But the first thing is, I have to take care of myself to do something. I am responsible. I have to do something. And taking care of myself is not thinking negative here. If I am not worrying, it doesn't mean I am not responsible. Whatever I have to do, I can do that with peace and with stability. Because if I create a lot of fear, I won't be able to even perform well. So many times we have realized that when we are fearful, our efficiency reduces. Just imagine a simple thing that we're carrying something which is delicate, which is fragile, could be a glass bowl or glasses, and somebody says, take care, don't let it fall, take care. And in our head we start thinking it shouldn't fall. And that statement that it shouldn't fall creates fear, and we tend to drop it. So somebody is telling us to be careful, but rather because we are not very conscious with the kind of thoughts we are creating, instead of being careful, we create fear. And when we create fear, our efficiency reduces. And when our efficiency reduces, we tend to drop things, or we tend to make mistakes, or we take wrong decisions, or our creative power reduces. So in case, if there's somebody who's late, I have to make a call, I have to find out, I have to go look for them, but I don't have to think wrong for them. I don't have to create negative thought. And this understanding that I am the creator of my worry, it is not the situation which is creating the worry. A lot of times we say, no, 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 but the situation was like that. What could I do? Being worried was the most natural thing. No, being responsible is the most natural thing, not being worried. Worried is the choice that I'm choosing to be worried by thinking all negative. And um, it also happens, one of the reason why this happens is whenever a situation comes, if you look at the kind of information that we see in the world, the kind of information we consume from TV, from news, and we read all this information, which is very negative in nature. Most news channels or news, every day you would read something about there was this tragedy and there was that tragedy, and this one was kidnapped and there was suicide and this, and we keep taking in all the information. And it's like, you're eating so much junk food, and when you eat so much junk food, uh, information for the mind is like food for the mind. So just like if you take in a lot of junk food, you can't have a healthy body. And similarly, if you consume a lot of negative news, just consuming, just taking in that information, what you see through your eyes and what you hear and what you read, and if that consumption is very negative in the quality, then naturally, when there is a situation, everything that you have seen in on the news channel or everything, you start seeing that probably it's happening in your life. It's very risky, what we're consuming. And most of the time we'll be like, but this is what we're seeing on the television. But we have a choice. We have a choice. It's like there's a buffet. And, I can't say, oh, there was so much food, so I ate everything and I fell ill. But I have a choice. I have a choice what to eat and what not to eat, because I need to take care of my health. If I am not very healthy and I know that, I can't eat this, I can't eat this, then I need the willpower to decide I'm not going to eat this because this can have wrong effect on my health. And similarly, emotional health, I have to be careful. I can't consume this information day in and day out, because it starts having effect on my mind. And yes, I understand we need to be aware about what's happening in the world. So we need to know. We see the news for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but not so much. We're living in the times where we are constantly fed with information, constantly, and our mind can't process so much. And taking in so much negative information then tends to have influence on our mind. And, we start creating, we start imagining that all this is happening with me. So that's one thing, that's one thing where we can immediately put a stop, is not consume the knowledge about, okay, kidnap and accident and this and that, because see, there are millions and millions and millions of people, there are crores of people, even in a city like Mumbai, in a city like Pune, if there is one accident, but there's so many other people who are safe. There's so many other people who comfortably reached their place. But that is something not mentioned in the news. They mention about that one kidnap and that one accident, and probably they're doing their job. But at the same time, I can't consume that information and be affected by it. So, what I'm trying to say is that every time there is a situation, and situations come suddenly, they come suddenly. Every time there is a situation, let me use the power of detachment. Because we're talking about not being a warrior, but being a warrior. And if you see a warrior, what does a warrior do? A warrior, one of the basic quality of the warrior is that he is ever ready. We all see people who are in military, who are people in air force. There's one quality is ever ready. The moment they are called, they're ready. The moment they're called, they can leave everything. They can detach themselves from everything and, are ready for their job. Similarly, every time there's a situation which is going to come suddenly, let me be ever ready. And what I mean by ever ready is not get influenced by this situation. It's not that we're not going to do anything about it, but not get let me get influenced by it, and sit down in silence, just 1 second silence, and ask myself, what is the next best step? What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to call? What am I supposed to do now? And start doing it. But let's not create negative thoughts here. And the another thing which I see we're worried a lot worried about is, in the current scenario, one thing which has hit people, because the last year has been quite difficult for a lot of people, and I can understand, and we have a lot of compassion for what's happening around. And because of financial crisis, this economic situation of the country, many people have lost their job. And what's happening is that there's some people who have lost their job, but there are many who haven't, but are constantly worrying, or they're constantly in fear that I might lose my job. And every day begins with their worry and this insecurity, that I might, that I might, that I might. And again, I have to tell myself that, this is not right. I have to every day tell myself, see, they say what you think is what you become. What you think will be your world. आप अपने संकल्प से अपनी दुनिया बनाते हैं. So what is happening is, even if that scene is not supposed to happen, I am inviting it. With every thought, I will create it. So I have to be so careful for what I'm thinking. My thoughts are going to convert into my words. My words are going to then convert into my actions, and my actions will create my destiny. So I am the master of my destiny. And if I am the master of my destiny, just one second. Um, and if I am the master of my destiny, then I have to be so careful of my every thought, because every time I am thinking negative, and I am thinking, I am choosing. Even when the day begins, I have a choice. I can say, oh, I have to go to work. And the other could be, I have to go to work. Oh, I have to follow the rules. Oh, I want to follow the rules. What is my attitude? Because, even just one thought that I have to go to work, we just lose all enthusiasm. There's no joy. It's like, we're suffering. And there's just one thought, I want to go to work. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful job. It's a beautiful world family. It's another opportunity to be creative, to contribute to the world. So much enthusiasm and zeal. And therein the other choice could be, oh my God, everybody is losing their job. My friend lost his job. So many people have been laid off. What will happen to me? Now my every thought is going to reduce my efficiency. I'm going to create so much fear. And when I'm going to create fear, what will start happening is that you will start making mistakes. You will not even realize, when we're in fear, we can't concentrate. So you will start making mistakes. You will end up taking wrong decisions. And imagine we're at a threshold where they're laying off people. They're laying off people, and otherwise I'm very confident. I know my job, I do it well, I'm very creative. But because I am so insecure and in fear, I will start getting angry, or taking wrong decisions. And then what will happen? And there are chances that I might lose my job, but it may not be because of the scenario in the world. It could be very well because I didn't take care of myself. It could be very well because I, from my thoughts, with my thoughts, created that situation. As is my mind, so is my world. We cannot forget this line. As is my thought, so is the world. Now, the worst come, you would be like, no, sister, but it is very practical. It's very practical that, so much is happening. So sometimes we anticipate the future so that we can be prepared for it. Okay, I agree. Now, preparing for the future and fearing for the future is two very different things. When we prepare for the future, we in our minds think, okay, this could happen. I could lose my job, and then I sit in silence and I see all the steps I will take with ease to get a new job. That's what I see in my mind, and that only makes me more liberated, less tensed, less worried, because I know if this doesn't work, another door will open for me. Every challenge is a lesson in disguise. Maybe it's an opportunity for something new. So I prepare myself, and I see myself, I visualize. In my head, I visualize myself taking next steps, going for another interview, getting another job, shifting my job. When this COVID and pandemic happened, and we all saw so many people lost their job, and we also saw different people responding differently. I met some people who were in a very high profile job. They were directors of the movie and stuff. But now due to pandemic, they lost their job, but they had to earn money. They had to sustain their family. And some people, because the situation just happened so suddenly, they hadn't anticipated this. And when they lost their job, they completely lost themselves. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't sleep. There was constant negative thinking, and over a period of time, they went into depression. so much anxiety. There were people who were having anxiety attacks. They went into depression. Now, what we have to understand is that um, there is one situation that came from outside, but because I couldn't deal with that situation, I didn't have the power to face the situation. I created another situation of depression, which is my creation, because I wasn't emotionally strong. I didn't have the inner strength. So the another situation is created by me. And then when I'm depressed, naturally, when I go back to my family, I'm not very happy. I'm very sad, and I'm very, always upset. And that's the energy I radiate to my family. So very soon I start having problems in my family. And another most important thing is, if I'm not emotionally strong, it starts impacting my physical health, because all that negative energy goes to my body. This is made up of 5 elements. So constantly when I radiate negative energy to my body, then something or the other starts happening. I start having health issues. So I because I can't face one situation, I go into depression, I develop health issues, I have complications in my relationships, the environment of the home is very heavy. So many situations. Now, who is responsible for that? I can't hold outside world responsible for what's happening within my world. One situation. And I needed the power to face that situation. And there were other people, and I really met those people who quickly shifted their job. They were directors or something, and they said, okay, at this moment probably I need to be a delivery boy, probably at this moment I need to do courier service, maybe at this moment I need to sell vegetables, anything, but I need to be in high self respect, not identify with my profile, not identify with what I am doing, but be in a very high self respect and do whatever is available for some time to sustain myself. But to make these choices, to move out of your comfort zone, we need to be very, very strong. We need to be very powerful. And that's what being a warrior is about. A warrior is somebody, you see the warrior always with weapons. And what are these weapons? These weapons, in a literal sense, when you see a warrior, he knows how to use a gun, he knows how to use a machine gun, and all the weapons. And he has trained and practiced and trained for such a long time, and all the time he's very alert, he's very careful, and he's ever ready, and he's trained with those weapons, and therefore there is no fear. He's ready to defend himself when there is any situation or an attack. And similarly in life, suddenly it's more like an attack. These situations are more like an attack. And I have no control over situations. None of us have. None of us have no control over situations, but we have complete control over our response. And if we have practiced and trained ourselves for a long time, and what are our weapons? Our weapons are our inner power, willpower, power to face. When a situation comes, it's about facing the situations and not getting influenced by the situation. In a family, we need power of detachment. Every time I'm attached, there's one person who is upset in my family, there's one person who is worried in my family, I start worrying with them, or I go in pain. That's attachment. When you're attached, like you see these two hands are attached. If they're attached, if something happens to this, the influence will come on this because they're attached. When two things are attached, the other thing cannot not get influence. So when you're attached, if something happens to this hand, this will also be influenced. But when you detach, then something happens to this can help this hand detached, this can help this hand. Similarly, in family, if somebody has lost a job, they're upset, they're worried, child has failed in an exam, they've had a difficult year, they're upset, they're low. Now, if I'm attached, then I see them low and I see them in pain, and I think, oh, it's very natural to be worried. It's very natural. No, it is not natural. You're not helping. In that moment, as a parent, as a leader, it is your duty that if somebody is low, you pull them out. And that's only possible when you're detached. And what is the meaning of detachment? You're not detached from your child. See, listen very deeply to this. You're not detached with your child, but you are just detached to his pain. You don't let his pain influence you. You don't let his pain, kind of absorb you. You are stable. You create that thought, I'm responsible, I'm a parent, I'm a spouse. At this moment, I have to be a backbone for my family. And therefore, I can't afford to get upset or go in pain at this moment because I have to pull this person out of pain. And this is power of detachment. And that is why when we want to help people, so many of us have so much compassion and we want to help other people, but we cannot help other people till we take care of ourselves. So many times we want to help people, but when we hear their stories, we go in pain. We're sensitive, we're not insensitive, but we're not sensitive to such an extent that we go in pain and we start worrying and we get upset and we lose our state. Because if we are not emotionally strong, how will we help them? So, um, any situation. So, the first thing is most of our imagination is not true. So even if we want to imagine, let us imagine the best, because what we think will happen. With our thoughts, we create our world. So let us just imagine we have to develop this practice, to always visualize the right, to always visualize the best. This imagination is very powerful. And there have been so many research, where brain does not understand what is imagination and what is reality. And this is one technique they use a lot in sports. You must have heard of sports psychology. So every time they're playing sports now, there is a coach, there's a fitness coach, there's a trainer, this, that, and the team has a psychologist. And the role of the psychologist is to make you mentally tough, to make you so strong that you visualize only the best for yourself. And even if you visualize that something wrong can happen, you do visualize, okay, if this situation can come. In that scene also, you see yourself responding in the best possible manner. And this one time, this very senior coach, an Olympic coach, shared, he said, even when all these players who participate in the Olympic, they said they all are very good. They all train very well. They all who are the best in their country. They practice a lot. And the only little difference that how one comes number one, two, three, he said out of his experience, he felt it is mental toughness. He said those who come first or are always the ones who are getting the medals, they're very, very mentally tough. And in their minds, they have so many times created that scene. It could be a 9-second race, it could be an 8-second race, but in their mind, they visualized it so many times that when they do it in reality, it's very easy for them. And this process of visualization can go all wrong if we start visualizing wrong things. So it's power of visualization, but what am I visualizing? Am I visualizing the worst or am I visualizing the best? And even if I think, like I said, once again, even if I think something can happen, even I can see, we say, no, no, let's be practical, I can see it happening. I know that I'm stuck in traffic and I will miss my flight. I know it for sure. I know it, I will not be able to reach in time. Okay, even if you know it for sure, now visualize what are going to be the next steps. How you just see yourself going to the airport peacefully, looking for another flight, booking another flight, boarding another flight, calling all those people who've been waiting for you. See yourself what I can do next, not going all over the place. Oh, what will I do now? What will I do now? Because you will end up taking wrong decisions. You will end up making more mistakes. And the thing is, I have a choice. I can't control situations all the time, but I have a choice about my response, what I want to think, what I want to feel. And when I'm feeling good, when I'm feeling good, when I'm feeling comfortable, I will think of all the creative ways to get out of the situation. At least I will perform to best of my capacity, whether it's job, whether it's interview, whether it's an exam, or whether it's an exam in life. So I think worry is futile, and worry is always about losing something. If you reflect, it's always about losing something. We're attached to something and we fear losing it. We fear losing a job or we fear losing a child. And this may come across something deep, but just ask yourself, everything that we acquire in this life, everything, the body, people, the job, the designation, the material things, everything that we acquired in life, everything that is material is temporary. Something can happen to it. I can lose it. There is a possibility. I'm not creating a thought that I will lose it, I will lose it, because it is going to only create fear. But let me understand it. Simple thing like just say, I have a phone here and I really like this phone. But I keep creating a thought, what if I lose it? What if I lose it? What if it falls? What if there is a scratch or something? Now, every thought I'm creating fear. But in my mind, I also understand that this is temporary. I also understand that this is, something which is material. I understand this is not eternal. There is a chance that I may lose it. But till I have it, let me enjoy it. Why not enjoy the journey? Let me enjoy my job. Let me enjoy my material comforts. Let me not be insecure. And if I lose it, if something happens to it, okay, I will see what to do about it. There is a possibility I can lose it. There is a possibility that something can happen to it. But when it happens, I will see what I have to do next. That is being a warrior. Warrior is not worried, but prepared. Prepared to face anything that comes on the way. um, Another thing that a brother was sharing with me, that this month of Feb is very important for the IT professionals. And he was saying that this month of Feb is basically the month of evaluation. um, Performance is being evaluated, and most of us again fear what other people will say about my performance. We're sometimes not very open to feedback, and there's again this sense of fear that what people think about me. And in this also, I think that there could be two things. First is that sometimes people who give feedback, they don't give it very gracefully or with a lot of dignity. If feedback is given with a lot of dignity, with a lot of good wishes, I think everybody is able to accept that, and everybody wants to transform and bring change in their life. I really don't see anybody who's not open to feedback. But sometimes that feedback is not like a feedback. It's more like criticism. It's more like not very graceful, not very respectful. And that's one of the reason we fear it, because we think, uh, we feel threatened that it attacks me and I am not good enough and I'm not worthy enough, and maybe I can't do it well, and it starts having an impact on my self respect. And that's where again we have to prepare ourselves, that when people are not very graceful, people are not very dignified or very respectful in sharing their feedback, they are reflecting their sanskars. If somebody is rude and critical, they are reflecting their sanskars. They are not judging me, but in that moment, they are reflecting who they are. So, what am I supposed to do at that moment? I have to protect myself by not getting hurt. I have to understand that they can be rude, can even insult, but I choose to get hurt, because what they say to me is not something that creates hurt, but what they say to me, and then what I do with their words in my mind, how many times I repeat it, is what creates the pain. So if somebody is not very graceful, I can create one thought that it's okay, it's their way of talking. I will sit in silence, I will reflect, and if there's something to change, I will change. That's it, full stop. But if I am not emotionally strong, I can take their words literally And then what happens? We can go all like, how can they talk to me like that? What do they think of themselves? Have they seen their own performance? How can they say this to me in front of everybody? And I can go on and go on and I go on, and I create so much hurt, and it's like a scratch which I can then convert into a wound. Let us not make small incidents into big mountains. We can't control all people, we can't transform their nature. If they are not respecting me, it is their problem, it is their sanskar. But why am I not respecting myself? When I am creating all negative thoughts, whether it's thoughts of fear or worry or hurt, am I not disrespecting myself? When I'm day in and day night for hours saying, why did they do this to me? Why did this happen to me? Why everything, is happening wrong with me? Is it not disrespecting yourself? Is it not creating pain? Is it not disrespecting your body? In during the COVID, there was a research which said so many people created so much fear that they didn't get corona. They did not have corona, but their other illnesses accelerated. If they had BP or something, they had other medical issues, but so much negative energy was going to the body that whatever other issues they had, they accelerated, or some of them developed some other illness altogether. Because again, negative energy is going to have an impact on the body. So, why am I disrespecting myself? Why don't I choose to respect myself and say, okay, they can talk to me the way they want, but I am going to talk to myself with respect. The way I'm going to talk to somebody else with love and respect and kindness, similarly, I'm going to be very kind and compassionate with myself, because it is my experience that if you're not kind with yourself, it's impossible to be kind with other people. It's a beautiful statement that I heard just few days back, which said, hurt people hurt people. People who are hurt inside tend to hurt other people. And so when somebody is critical and somebody is rude, I have to understand that they are in pain. They're going through a lot of suffering. Maybe they have this habit of worrying and being insecure and being angry. And so they're suffering so much inside, and that's just coming out on all of us. But it's like hurt people hurt other people. And if somebody who's standing in front of me is hurt, I can't get angry on them. I have to feel compassion for them, because there's somebody who are emotionally weak. They're unwell. They have no control over their thoughts and feeling. They may be sitting in a power of position, and they may have the power to create fear in people and get outcome done. But because they don't have the power to control themselves, they lose the love from the hearts of so many people. These very go-getters, high achievers, there's some of these people there who can get things done. Amazing results, amazing performances, meeting targets and everything. But they're very unhappy people, because their way of getting things done is not very respectful. So, out of fear, you can get things done from people. People are fearful that they might lose their job, but they're not machines, they're not robots, so they're going to think. And if I'm going to use the power of anger, or if I'm going to use the weapon of control, then they're not going to think very well about me. They're not going to think very elevated thoughts about me. They're not going to give their blessings to me. So in their minds, they're going to create so much, because they're going to be hurt, and they're going to create so much negative thoughts, and that vibration will reach me. And that's one of the reasons that people who are very critical, people who are very angry, may achieve a lot in the worldly terms, but may not be very happy people. So if you have somebody like that, if you have a difficult boss, somebody difficult at home, compassion, kindness, they are suffering. They have no control over their mind, their thoughts, and their feelings. And the only weapon they know is the weapon of anger and control. But let me not get influenced by that. Let me be a warrior and use the power of tolerance. Another word that we don't really like a lot. We think tolerance, then people will step all over me, people will take me for granted. No, no. People take me for granted when they say something and I get provoked. people, taking granted is what they took me for granted. That means, I suffered some loss. So when people say one line and I am so sensitive that I am provoked and I get hurt, that's when they took me for granted. But if you can choose to behave the way you want because it's your sanskar, and I'm not influenced by that. I am not influenced by that. I don't lose my peace of mind. I don't respond in the same manner. And I'm loving and I'm compassionate because that's my values. Being kind and compassionate is my value. I do it because I value my peace of mind, and that's what I want to spread in the world. I don't want to spread bitterness in the world. That the whole concept of tit for tat, you say something and I say that back to you, it's become a vicious cycle. It becomes a vicious cycle. And what about the third law, that every action has equal and opposite reaction? So, on that law that every action has equal and opposite reaction, I am aware of that law and I choose to only send that, only pure and positive energy, because I know what I am going to send, I have to face the consequences that's going to come back. And I choose that from me only love will flow. Because when I choose this, when this becomes my basis of responding in the world or living my life, if this becomes my values and principles and foundation, who is the first person to benefit? The Buddha once said that when you get angry, you will not be punished, but anger is the punishment. You will not be punished for your anger, but anger is the punishment. Means whatever I choose, I'm the first one to experience that. So if I choose anger, I'm the first one to experience the negative effects of that sanskar. If you have to throw hot coal on somebody, you are the first person who gets burned. So when I choose peace, love, and compassion, I'm not doing favor to anyone. We, anyways, are very selfish. We're not doing favor to anybody, but we're doing a favor to ourselves. We value our peace, we value our state of mind. I choose this because when I create this, I am the one to experience it. And I radiate that into the world. And then automatically people will come closer to me. What I think will happen, what I think and radiate will become my world. I will automatically attract good people. I will automatically attract good situations. And that is why, sometimes very mediocre people who are not, who are very average, who are not super intelligent or brilliant, but they're just very happy people. Intellectually, they may be very mediocre, but you see them doing so well in life because they're very joyful, they're very happy, they're very kind, and they radiate that energy in the world. And they receive so much blessings from the world, so much blessings from the people. And they end up also saying sometimes, they say, it's not my effort, but I think it's the blessings of people which has led me to where I am. So many of us feel that it's not my capacity, but the blessings of everyone that has led me to where I am. But how do you get that blessings? You get blessings and love of people when you're nice to them, when you're nice, when you are genuinely kind. So, what I'm trying to say is that next time when you're standing there, when you have to read your feedback and get a feedback, again, power of detachment and power of tolerance. I have no control on their response, on their behavior and how they talk, but I can choose what I want to feel. I'm not going to be disrespectful towards myself. I will take that feedback, sit in silence, reflect, transform where it's need to be transformed. But if everything is okay and it's just they're being critical, full stop. Power to put a full stop. And that's what spirituality is all about, building powers. Power to detach, power to face, power to tolerate, power to put a full stop. Putting a full stop means I don't need to think about this anymore. This is not important. But sometimes you want to put a full stop and the mind constantly keeps thinking about it, keeps thinking about it. Am I the master of my mind or am I the slave of my mind? I want to control other people's mind. You should do my way. You should do my way. You should do my way. Just imagine, I can't control my mind. My mind is not listening to me. How will others' minds listen to me? They will do what they want to do. So I have complete control over my thinking. Just few days back, some of you must have also seen when India was playing Test cricket with Australia, and I just read an interview which was very nice. Um, One of the members was saying that when they lost the first match, and they lost it really badly, and they had two more Test matches in front, which now we term as historic win. But they said those few days between losing and another match was very important for us. And our mind would go back to the defeat. And then we had to all remind ourselves that this is not the moment to think about it, not even our mistakes, not even our failure. Let us finish with our matches and then we will go back and see where we made mistake. And he said the most difficult thing was to train our mind not to go back to the defeat and not to go back to our mistakes and keep that, very, very strong willpower and confidence that we can do it. We have the talent, we have the skill. Because sometimes you have the skill, you have the talent, and you have years of practice. But if you create fear, you just lose it. You're not able to perform. And yeah, so calm in crisis, it's being calm when there is crisis. And I think that's where the role of meditation comes. Out of my experience, two things which are very important, especially now, when we talk about being a warrior. you know um, some of you who drive know that, when you're driving, you have this option where you have brake and you have accelerator, and sometimes suddenly something can come in front of you, could be a dog or a cat or a truck, something, and you have an option at that moment either to apply brake or to use accelerator. And a lot of us know this, we know this intellectually, that suddenly when something, so suddenly a dog came, suddenly a cycle came, suddenly. And intellectually, even if we don't know how to drive a car, we know we need to apply a brake. I mean, we know this. But who is able to apply a brake? Not the one who just knows, but the one who is an experienced driver, one who has been practicing for a long time. That person does not get, in that moment, they're able to keep their calm, and it's a split second. It's that split second. And sometimes in that split second, you're not even thinking. But out of practice, you press that brake and you save yourself and you save the other person. And that's what I'm talking about, practice to develop that inner power. Because if we are not experienced and if we have not practiced for a long time, then when a challenge comes suddenly, we're not prepared for it. And instead of brake, what will happen? We'll press an accelerator. And then you know what will happen? There'll be an accident. And that's what happens with us. We have so many accidents in the day. There are times when somebody is angry and I know I need to keep quiet, but because I don't have the power, I say something and I regret later. So many times we regret and we say, oh, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that, I should have kept quiet, I should have dealt it differently. If I get another opportunity, I will do it differently. But time has passed. And I'm not saying we need to regret about it. Of course, we learn from our mistakes, we make mistakes, it's okay. Every mistake teaches us something, every challenge is a lesson, we grow. But at the same time, we can't make the same mistake again. If you're making the same mistake again, then we're choosing that destiny. We're not learning from the mistake and we're not realizing that this is the time to develop emotional strength. This is the time we say, oh, it's very uncertain. There is nothing certain. Okay, if everything is so uncertain, and if there is only one thing that's constant, that is change, then am I prepared to break my comfort zone and face whatever life throws at me? That's spirituality. That's meditation, to develop that inner power. And that's what I was saying, that from my experience, I think just knowing intellectually that I need to detach, and I need to put a full stop, and I need to let go, and I need to be kind is not enough. We listen and we understand and we agree, but at the same time, we need to develop that power, and we need to incorporate meditation in our life. What is meditation? It's just a skill where you learn how to become the master of your mind. It's just like you have an artist, they take very good care of their brushes. You have a musician, they'll take very good care of their instrument. You have an IT professional, they'll be very careful about their laptops and their instruments, you know. And a meditator is somebody who takes very good care of their mind. No matter what happens, they are not going to create a single negative thought. They live in awareness, they live with mindfulness. It's not that everything in their life is perfect, but they have been practicing day in and day out, that when something happens suddenly and something happens which I was not expecting, I am going to keep my calm and deal with it. It's like how you incorporate exercise in your daily life. So people who exercise daily are not the people who are unwell. They have incorporated 30 minutes of walk or 30 minutes of exercise for the only reason that they are fit, and so that their immunity is strong and they don't succumb to diseases. you know Eating healthy and exercising daily are these two means to keep your body healthy. And similarly, eating healthy, taking in very elevated information, like I was talking before. We can't consume negative information by social media, by newspaper. It has an influence on my mind. My mind starts thinking that, and sometimes that's the last thing I'm doing at night, scanning the newspaper or reading the news, and I sleep. And my conscious mind even hasn't kind of slowed down. And sometimes what I had been reading just comes into my dream. You know, I haven't given any time for my mind to unwind or to rest. Information, information, information. It has no time to even process the information, and that all that information is getting processed in my dreams, or the moment I sit in silence. So many people, the moment they sit in silence, so they're about to go to sleep, so much suffering, because the moment you're silent, you can hear your own thoughts and you can see all that's going in your mind. And because all that information is there, which now starts to get processed because there is some silence, and then you're not able to sleep. And if you fall asleep, then it gets converted into dreams. So two things. One, we need to start consuming good information, elevated information. What we're seeing, what we're reading, what we're talking, everything that we're consuming has to be very elevated content. Because automatically, if we consume something which is elevated, our mind will process that. And that is why in Brahma Kumaris, all of us, our day starts with a spiritual class. And that spiritual class is godly versions, very elevated knowledge. And that's what's going on in my mind. And then when something happens, I know exactly what to think. I know when I need to put a full stop, how much to think, what to think, when to think, and when not to think. Master of my mind. And second thing is exercise. You know, exercise is like meditation, but I consciously teach my mind to create right quality thoughts. And I don't even think it is something now that, okay, I like meditation or I don't like meditation. I think it has to be lifestyle. I think with the kind of challenges we go through now, there was a time when people would say, okay, time will heal. Somebody would go through a situation and they would be suffering, and the others or the elders or more experienced people will say, it's okay, time will heal. And yes, with time, you know, new information and older wounds would get healed. But now, in the current times, sometimes there isn't even time between two challenges. So something happens in the morning and something happens in the evening, and then something happens the next day. There is no time to kind of heal on its own. And time is my creation, so I can't depend on time. I have to take charge, heal myself, let go of the past, not create new wounds, put a full stop, and learn how to meditate to develop those powers. And then automatically, naturally, worry will get converted into care, attachment will get converted into detachment, being sensitive, getting hurt will get converted into being tolerant, hatred will get converted into compassion naturally, automatically, and you will start liking yourself better. The most beautiful thing about meditation is because who are we spending the most time with? Not other people. We're spending most of the time we spend with ourselves. And if you're not able to create quality thoughts, then just imagine what is the company we're living with. I start liking myself. I feel comfortable with myself. I feel liberated. And some people will say, oh, it's very selfish to take out time for yourself. It's more like self absorption. No, we're not absorbing ourselves in our worries and pains. What we are doing is we are um, absorbing ourselves in God's love and becoming strong so that we can radiate that to the world. So if we take out time for ourselves, naturally we radiate pure loving energy to our family. We radiate pure loving energy at our workplace, and we contribute in making this world a better place. So yeah, I think now I invite you that if you have some questions and you want to share something, for next few minutes we can do that before we move into meditation.
Thank you, sisters. Beautifully covering the warriors versus warriors, being ever ready with weapons of inner power, and also touching upon giving your guidance for the working professionals primarily, be IT professional, be the non-IT professionals, how they can handle the performance evaluation. There is also very good, interesting points to note for all of us. Thank you for the same. And next, as you suggested, we'll go with the Q&A. One question is already there. I request all the participants to put their questions on the chat window. First question is, some of the brothers or sisters have lost their jobs during the COVID-19, and they are kind of jobless. So how to come out of worry when they don't have current jobs and then do not foresee any future? So I request your view. I think we touched upon, but if we can clarify, right?
I did touch upon that because I know that some of the people are going through that. And I would only say that I know it's difficult. I'm not saying that, oh, it's natural or anything. Our family is dependent on that. But, like I said, that situation is not in our control. Let us not get into that kind of mindset where I say, oh, I'm useless, I'm not good enough. Let it not affect my self respect. Most people who are losing their jobs, and there are people who constantly ask, what are you doing? Are you sitting at home? You don't have a job. And all this starts having an influence on my self respect. And I then go, oh, what will happen to me? Will I get a job? And it starts affecting my self worth. So what I suggest is that, you take out 1 hour every day for spiritual knowledge so that you live in very high self respect, you are calm, and then ask yourself what is the next step, whether it's giving a new interview or going for another job or switching a job for some time. And even if you have to switch jobs, it's okay. It's okay. Do not identify with your pay package or with your designation. That's not who you are. You are a peaceful being who, you're a being first and then you do. So don't identify with what you're doing. That's very temporary. If you start identifying with what you do, then when you lose your job, you feel lost. It's like an identity crisis. So separate yourself that I am separate from what I do. Okay, I had a wonderful job, I have lost it, and maybe there's a new opportunity waiting for me. And go for it with stability, and just see this journey as something new to learn. Every challenge, trust me, every challenge only makes us stronger. It only allows us to grow in our inner power. Yeah.
Thank you, sister. The next question is, please tell how to change the mind every time negative thoughts come in. Please tell how to change the mind every time negative thoughts comes in.
See, again, changing the mind. What is mind doing? The role of mind is to create thoughts. Mind is like a factory, is going to create thought one after the other, one after the other. And we can't stop our thoughts. This whole concept that it can become zero thought, it is not possible. There's some researchers who count. I don't know how they count, but they count how many thoughts there are in 1 minute, and they say 40, 50 in 1 minute. And that also when we're stable. So if we are a little in anxiety, they can just shoot up. So we can't stop our thoughts, but we can transform them. So just one thought, what will happen? So you transform it. No, everything is going to happen well with me. I'm God's child. I'm going to do right, and everything right will happen. Then again, there's another thought. What if I don't get a job? Then you sit down and tell yourself, no, no, I'm capable. I have the skill. It may take time, but I will get the job. So you talk to your mind. And another thing is, when you attend a spiritual class every day and you take elevated information every day, then your intellect has this treasure of information where it knows what to think. It's like when you eat well, your body performs well automatically. So when you take in elevated information, your mind performs well automatically. So start listening to elevated information daily. And I really mean it, daily.
Thank you, sister. The next question is, a request to explain how to become good decision makers in workplace with spirituality.
Again, decision is something which is um, to do with intellect. You know, intellect is like we were talking about power to face and power to tolerate. There's another power is to take right decision. And anyone who has a very clean intellect and peaceful mind can take right decisions. And to have pure intellect, divine intellect, take care of your intellect. Taking care of the intellect is not taking all the rubbish in the world and then thinking your mind and intellect is going to perform to the best of its ability. No. When you have very pure intellect, automatically the decisions will be right. And it's very amazing, how we are able to take decisions for everybody in a second. We're able to take their life decisions, but when it comes to taking decision for ourselves, we find it very difficult because we're detached in their case. And when we are detached, we're able to give advice, we're able to take the decisions. Right, wrong, I don't know. I suggest you don't take other people's decision. I suggest that you put across your opinion, but don't take their decisions, because they have to tread on that path and they need to have their ability. But I do suggest that you take your own decisions, because then you have the power to take that road and face the situations that will come on that road. But for taking the decisions, your mind has to be very peaceful. And when our mind is very peaceful, our intuition starts working. And everybody in the world feels that their gut feeling is always true. So I had a very strong intuition, because intuition, inside, there's a tutor sitting which knows everything. But that tutor is only able to guide you when you're calm and peaceful. So work on being peaceful and calm, and all your decisions will automatically be right.
Yeah, thank you, sister. Next question is, please share your thoughts on practical ways to practice detachment in job situations that cause worrying patterns. Some situations are imaginary, but they are also real problems, sometimes complex, creating stress.
Like we said, the word detachment, we have to understand. A lot of people feel spirituality and detachment and they get scared. And detachment sometimes come across leaving something, leaving family or leaving work. When I say detachment, I don't mean to being withdrawn. Withdrawn is, leaving the person or the home or the work, or the how many jobs will you leave? How many bosses will you leave? How can you leave your family? Not practical. So when we mean detachment is that I am not influenced by the situation. Your words or the challenge is not creating negative thoughts here, is not creating worry and fear, and I protect myself and I respond to the situation. So it's not detaching yourself from the person or the scene or the situation, but the influence of it, the negative energy. And again, that can only happen with the practice of meditation. You develop such an aura around you that you're not impacted by the negative energy and you're able to respond proactively in those situations. So I think it's practice. It's practice where um, you're there, you're witnessing everything, but at the end of the day, you only feel what you create here. So, there might be somebody who's very rude and who's very critical, and I'm listening and I'm nodding and I'm standing there, but I'm not experiencing any pain because I'm not taking in their words and creating that commentary in my mind. In my mind, I'm creating a commentary. They're not well, they're weak. I have to be compassionate. And that what allows me to be detached from their pain, to take care of myself, and to respond in the most elevated possible manner, to become the highest version of myself.
Yes, next question, sister. The how are some people born warriors?
How some
How
people
some people are born warriors by
how
birth?
some people are born warriors. Yes, we do. Some people who have a lot of inner strength, and we also see, I see the generation before us also, sometimes when you look at your parents, you see they're naturally more tolerant, they're naturally more able to face situation. And I think we had a lot of spiritual practices already ingrained in a culture which we're losing now. Most families would get up in the morning, would sit together, would perform some rituals, would pray. Any religion, it was always this habit in the home of spending some time connecting to the divine, and absorbing that power. We're sometimes losing that. I'm not sure. I don't know. But all these habits of getting up in the morning and thanking God, and before eating the food, thanking God. And there was this culture of so much gratitude. And with that gratitude, our consciousness was so elevated that when something very little happened, it did not affect us. But now the culture is not of gratitude, it's always about complaint. There's so much complaint and blame, and 99 things would be good. There's one thing which is not right, and my mind is always focused on that. So develop the attitude of being thankful of lovely people you have around, for the lovely job that you have, the wonderful body that you have, the wonderful friends that you have. Connect to divine, thank him many times in the day. This elevates your consciousness. The whole attitude of gratitude elevates your consciousness and gives you more power to deal with challenges. Yeah.
Thank you, sister. The next question is the visualization really give results that we want. How to do it? Is there any audio? So please suggest. So primarily the visualization. Is there any audio? That's what one of brother has asked.
I don't know about the audio, but I think if you see, there'll be some sports video, because this is really practice in the field of sports. Before a match or before a performance, they kind of see it in their mind many times. Many times. And what happens is, like I was talking before, the brain does not understand what is reality and what is imagination. So when you see it many times in your mind, the brain creates that groove. It's more like a sanskar is forming. For example, I know there is a difficult person in my family, and every morning and every evening, in my mind, I see standing in front of them. I see them with love in my mind. This is all my visualization. I see them with a very elevated vision, and I see myself talking to them with a lot of love and compassion. And I do this every day, and you will see that when that situation comes, when you have to face that person, automatically that sanskar will emerge. You will have to do nothing. So visualization is very powerful because your brain doesn't understand that it's imagination and it's not reality. So even when you're sitting in silence and when you're meditating, and you're visualizing yourself performing in the most elevated manner, talking properly with love, not getting hurt. And then when the real situation comes, you're just able to do it. It's wonderful. So I'm not aware of any videos, but I think there'll be a lot if you look at all these social media platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. We have got certain time limit, so probably I think we can take these questions. Question is, how can we handle a situation when someone in your team is not performing well? On one side, you want to help that person, but on the other side, seniors wants to terminate that employee as he is not performing well. How can I stay away from negative emotions, and how can I help him?
Yes, yes. That's another very challenging place to be when you become responsible in terminating somebody. Not easy, not easy. But I think, if you're working with a team and you're a leader, what can be very empowering is your vibration and intentions for that person. So, of course, you have to improve their performance, but you can only improve somebody's performance when you are thinking well for them, then your vibration and your respect becomes power for them. Your trust becomes responsibility for them. And that's when they want to perform to their best capacity. But if I'm getting angry or fearful, then my vibration can have an influence on their performance. And this can be true for workplace as well as home. So if a parent is very worried, you're going to impact the performance of your child. Your worry and your fear and your insecurity will have direct influence on the performance of the employees and the children at home. So, a couple of things. The first is for some time, you have that elevated vision for that person, you have faith in them, you trust them, and you give them a couple of opportunities and allow them to evolve. Even then, if you see that there is no change and you come to a point where you need to terminate them, do it very, very gracefully, do it with lot of dignity, do it with lot of good wishes, and if possible give them some reference where they can get a new job, or uh, let them leave with lot of let them not leave with bitterness, because then their vibrations will have an influence you and it will make you feel very empty. So it's a tightrope, but we can do it. We have to win the love of people, and we have to still be firm and take some very important decisions. We have to sometimes terminate people, but let us do it very gracefully. Let us do it with a lot of kindness. And if you can give some reference, that is also a good thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sister. Beautifully explaining the difficult situation. Thank you very much. So, with the time constraint, probably will not be able to take. I would request the brothers and sisters to put their questions, and then we can take these questions offline, and then we can respond them back. So that's what I request. And with this, we'll end this session, and then I request you to take the meditation session for about 10 to 15 minutes time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we'll move in for a few minutes of meditation, and I will give you a guided commentary, and you can just sit back and experience that. And I would also suggest that in future you connect to the local centers and learn meditation in detail, and bring it into your life. But for now, just sit comfortably, let go of your devices. In this moment, come into the awareness. I am a very powerful soul. I'm not weak. I'm not a worrier. It's just a habit that I've learned, which is causing a lot of suffering. But today, I choose to bring a transformation within me. I realize that worry is not love, but shift from being worried to being caring. I still perform all my responsibilities. I'm not careless, but I choose to visualize only the best. I choose to only create loving thoughts for myself, for my family, and for the people at my workplace. I am the master of my mind. Creator of my thoughts. What I think is what I feel. Situations are not in my control. Times are uncertain. Let me be certain of my inner stage. Let me take care of myself. Let my thoughts and words heal the world. Let there be no bitterness. The beautiful world. This beautiful life. I'm blessed with so much. Amazing body. Wonderful people around me. I thank Divine for bestowing me with so many gifts. And if there is little challenge, I take this as an opportunity to grow. Every challenge is a stepping stone to a new experience. It's a journey of peaks and valleys. Failures and the reward. I'm not afraid of failing or making a mistake because I'm always open to learning. Every mistake contributes in my growing. So in this moment, once again remind yourself, I am a powerful being. I am God's child. He has a divine plan for me, a plan which is accurate, a plan which will lead to my inner strength. I have no complaints, and I'm ready to flow with life. Complete flexibility. I flow with life, facing whatever comes in the way and learning from it, growing with every day, becoming more experienced, and enjoying this journey. Om Shanti.
Thank you, sister. So I would request Brahma Kumari Raja Jogini, Sister Golap, to give a word of thanks.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. तो सर्वशक्तिमान सर्व की कल्याणकारी सर्व की सद्गति दाता सर्व की रक्षक परम पिता परमात्मा को मैं सबसे पहले आज की प्रोग्राम के सफलता के लिए तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करते हूँ। उसके बाद हमारे परमादरणीय राज्यविनी ब्रह्मा कुमारी डॉक्टर निर्मला दीदी जी जो ITWing के 4 पर्सन हैं, जिनकी सभी सही सहयोग की तो मार्गदर्शन में IT सेवाएं चल रही हैं, उनको मैं दिल से धन्यवाद देती हूँ। हमारे आदरणीय राजयोगिनी ब्रह्मा कुमार यशवंत भाई जी जो मधुबन में ITWing के कोऑर्डिनेटर थे, उनको भी दिल से धन्यवाद देती हूँ। तो उसके साथ मैं भुवनेश्वर सबजन के मुख्य हम सभी की अपनी मिठी अपनी प्यारी राज्यगिनी ब्रह्मा कुमारी लीना दीदी जी को भी दिल से धन्यवाद देती हूँ, जिनकी शुभभावना से IT सेवा चल रही है। तो विशेष आज हमारे वक्ता राज्यगिनी ब्रह्मा कुमारी श्रेया बहन जी को भी मैं बाबा की तरफ से मेरी तरफ से पूरे पटिया सेंटर की तरफ से तहे दिल से धन्यवाद देती हूँ। तो आज के प्रोग्राम में तो बहन जी ने हम सभी को जो ज्ञान दिया, हम सभी तो उसको अपने प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में यूज कर उसका लाभ ले, इसलिए मैं बहन जी को फिर से धन्यवाद देती हूँ। उसके बाद आज के प्रोग्राम के लिए जिनका भी सहयोग रहा, उन सभी को तहे दिल से बार बार धन्यवाद देती हूँ। आप सभी जो इस प्रोग्राम में भाग लिया अपना टाइम देकर, तो इसका लाभ लिए, चाहे जूम के माध्यम से जुड़े चाहे तो सभी जुड़े हुए सभी को तहे दिल से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देती हूँ। सभी को धन्यवाद करते हूँ। ये परमात्मा की याद में रहकर आज ये वोट ऑफ थैंक्स समाप्त करती हूँ। ओम शांति, ओम शांति। दीदी को मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इतना टाइम लेके सभी भाई बहन को जो ज्ञान दिया है हमारे प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में कैसे हम यूज करेंगे, तो इसलिए जी को भी मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Didi.
Thank you, Sister Gulab. So we'll be ending this today's program with a beautiful meditation song. And by request the people who are interested to get into the Rajagar, they requested to connect the nearest local center. And also we can share some of the video link for the 7 days Rajagar course. And we'll be today's ending this program with a beautiful meditation songs. Thank you, Om Shanti. Thank you, Sister Shreya. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Om Shanti.
Thanks everyone. Om Shanti.